Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Limbus Company video. Today we're going to be playing with Textbook himself, also known as the Thumb Apprentice, Heathcliff, and beating the Mirror Dungeon with only him. Honestly, he's a very simple identity. And he honestly works a lot closer to the Sync Association identities rather than any of the Thumb identities. Obviously, he does have, you know, Tremor Scorch like all of the other Thumb identities, so in that regard, he is more similar to the Thumb. But his actual main gimmick is closer to the Sync Association, because it is him inflicting the dual escalates status effect. And basically, that status effect just gives him a lot of buffs. And most importantly, when it reaches the max of 5, it allows him to use his enhanced skill 3. Which is pretty powerful. I'll say that much. It's nowhere near the same level as, you know, Thumb Rhodia, her enhanced skill 3, but it's something, at the very least. He also has a second status effect of Maturing Textbook, which is this status effect right here on himself, which most of the time that status effect comes from him killing enemies, which is somewhat unreliable in my opinion, but he does have another way of gaining it, and that's if he does end up using his enhanced skill 3, he can gain 1 of it. So even in boss fights that don't have many minions, he's still capable of gaining all of his main gimmicks, basically. And we get Green Spirit and Sour Liquor Aroma for that. Ultimately, though, yeah, he's a very, very simple identity who doesn't really have a whole lot really worth talking about. Like, he just inflicts the dual escalates every time he attacks. A little bit more when he actually ends up winning the clash. He has very good burn and tremor infliction, and his Maturing Textbook allows him to deal more damage when he has that, but other than that, he doesn't really do anything. He doesn't really do anything that crazy. Pretty much the one thing that I can say he does that is the most interesting thing about him, probably, is the fact that when you are actually using him with Rhodia as well, whenever she attacks an enemy while she has her precognition active, then he gets to follow up with a skill 1. And when it is inactive, then he can use an assist defense to protect her, which is pretty nice. But yes, he's very strong. He's very strong in a vacuum, and he just doesn't do a whole lot. He's very simple. He's very simple and very strong. Strong enough to warrant being used in an actual, like, Tremor burn team. Anyways, I'd say he's probably one of the best for Tremor and burn, honestly. Which is a lot more than I can say about a few other identities. Which I guess is basically just only the Thumb at this point, really. So, that's not to say the other Thumb identities are any bad, but the biggest problem with the Thumb, in my opinion, is that because all of them are capable of consuming just so much tremor count, it becomes quite difficult to actually build up a significant tremor stack. And so if you do end up using only them, then it is somewhat difficult to actually reliably keep the tremor stack alive. So yeah, honestly, if you're using the thumb, you definitely want like a dedicated tremor identity as well on top of them, just so you can guarantee that they don't end up killing the tremor stack, which they really, really like to do. Let me just say that much. Unfortunately, that skill didn't stagger there like I wanted it to, but it's fine. Half of the dead rabbits are staggered as well. Obviously, I could have used binds, and that would have just instantly won the fight, but like, come on. I don't want to do boring stuff. I want to make these fights at least somewhat interesting. The biggest thing with soloing nowadays is it is fairly easy. It doesn't really have the same level of difficulty that like soloing in the past used to have. And a lot of that is just all of the quality of life stuff, like being able to start with specific ego gifts, and then the Durante effects, like being able to always use an ego, even if you don't have any ego resources to fuel it. So that can really help jumpstart your solo runs. But yeah, pretty easy, all things considered. Dregs of the Manor, it is the hardest of all of the floor ones, and yeah, even nowadays, like I always take it because the Manor Shake music box is just such a good ego gift that not taking it is literally throwing. But in any case, this floor is the hardest, yet it's still fairly easy. Skin Prophet isn't much of a difficult boss fight either. You just kind of ignore him for the first 3 turns. The only reason I'm attacking the candles here is because Heathcliff, he has a clashable counter for his defense skill, which is completely useless against doing anything against the Skin Prophet's 3 attack skills right here, because they are unclashable. So, yeah. Just attack the candles in that case, because there is no reason for them. There's no reason to do anything else. Like, you don't want to attack the Skin Prophet because he will counter you. So yeah. Skin Prophet is almost never a challenge. We can even stagger it there, which is interesting to say the least. Well, I thought he was resistant to wrath damage, but I guess not. And this is one other skill effect that is unique to Heathcliff, and it's the Severed Tendon effect. It's pretty good, honestly. It gives -1 base power to the enemy it's inflicted against. So, it's not anything crazy, but it is a nice debuff to have, honestly. And that gives us Fiery Down and the Melted Paraffin eco gifts. Very cool. Here in the shop, we're not really looking for anything in particular. Obviously, the things that are generally good all around, like Bloody Gadget, Ferocious Hammer for more money, and the Pendant of Nostalgia, because poise is always good no matter what, even if you don't fully synergize well with the eco gift itself. And for the boss, we have Hindley versus the Dead Rabbits. Pretty easy fight. I could use, like I said before in the other Dead Rabbits fight, I could just use binds and instantly win, but ultimately in this fight, you don't really want to kill the first wave of Dead Rabbits too quickly, because doing so means that the second wave, all of the Dead Rabbits have 2 skill slots, and that ends up being worse off for you as a result. Simply because since you do kill them all super quickly, that means that you have less skills to clash against, and because of how attack weight works in these regular encounters, it also becomes worse off for you to actually, what am I trying to say here? The attack weight is less effective, because if you are attacking, like, if I use an attack weight skill here, for example, it uses 2 of the attack weight on the same enemy, which is a waste. A total waste. Especially in the next wave, but if we just take our time, that's not an issue. The worst part about these Dead Rabbits in particular is the rupture that they inflict, because they are really, really good at it. All things considered. So you definitely want to be careful. Don't let it get out of control. And Hindley is last. Having Hindley last here is actually really good, because Hindley is the least threatening out of all of them. The Dead Rabbits are absolutely the biggest threat. And so being able to kind of just ignore him, it's always a benefit. Unfortunate, if we didn't miss that coin there, we would have been able to kill all of the Dead Rabbits, no problem, but one of them is alive now. Not that it really matters. As long as we don't get staggered, we're fine. Unfortunately, we can't actually get access to Heathcliff's Enhanced Skill 3 here. Specifically because Heathcliff is only allowed to inflict upwards of 3 the dual escalates status effect on a single enemy per turn. And with it needing 5, that means that, yeah, it takes a minimum of 2 turns for him to actually be able to gain access to his Enhanced Skill 3. Which, in this case, I'm not sure if we even need it. No, we don't. Nothing there. The music box and the pinpoint logic circuit. Very cool. Pinpoint logic circuit, not as useful because we have the ego gift. Also, hello, crush memory. Not exactly a useful ego gift, but maybe because we get that, we might be able to squeeze out a lunar memory. within 5 floors. Voodoo doll, pretty useless. Like with all of the sync identities as well, it is much easier to actually stack up the dual escalates in focus encounters instead of non-focus encounters, because you can actually just target down the specific enemies that you want to clash against. But that's just common sense. Obviously, when you can actually choose your targets, it may be a status effect that depends on you attacking the same target multiple times. It's going to be stronger when you can actually choose your targets.
너희들의 사랑의 힘이 빛의 힘이 저 어둡고 악한 아르카나들을 뒤흔들었어. 이대로면 승리도 시간 문제겠지?
예사롭지가 않은데? 아주 작사를 내놨어. 이 궤적을 보고 떠올리시게. 당신과 함께 연할 것.
자, 악당 퇴치 성공.
Very easy fight.
우리도 정말 멋진 활약이었어.
Obviously it is. It's against Pekatulam. Pekatulam are not difficult.
세상이 평화로워지는 건 기쁜 거야.
Unless they're tier 3 Wrath Pekatulam that don't have a stagger threshold.
지금처럼 조용하려나?
Melted Spring does literally nothing. Phlebotomy Pack is nice though. Always a good healing gift when you have a Wrath skill. Polarization, pretty good. More damage. UPS system, because why not? And an extra skill 3. And I guess that's it. 4-leaf clover would be nice, but can't afford it. Oh well. Time to fight the frog. The Blubbering Toad. Hello. It's definitely going to be, honestly, a pretty easy fight, especially because we do have Bassy Song as a support passive, which means every single turn we're going to be getting an extra 10 sanity back. Or actually, no, never mind. I take that back. I thought about putting Bassy Song on, but I didn't. I put on Horsey Song instead. Because I thought, I don't know, it was just, it is a better support passive all around. But yeah, Bassy Song is, he's very good for fights like this where you just take a ton of sanity damage. I think we are going to corrode. It's very difficult to... It's very difficult to beat the frog without corroding. If you do, you have to be very careful about when you actually choose to break his eyes. Because if you do break his eye, that's a minus like 30 right there, and yeah. The burn damage did it for us. Very interesting, very cool. His ego is definitely gonna just kill the frog though, so. This is why the frog's easy. He literally just, he ends up killing himself. The actual challenge of that fight is trying to beat him without corroding, which is very difficult, I will say. Alright, Crush Memory, Prejudice, and Greycoat. Very cool. And then the best floor in the game for floor 3. Unfortunately, we don't get the Knight's Blessing in those event nodes, unfortunately. Do get the Golden Urn, which is pretty good. I should have taken that. And nothing good here. Oh, well. I guess we can upgrade this. That's an extra 10% damage right there. It's definitely rough going from one sanity-draining boss fight into another, but at the very least, in this one, we do have the trauma shield, so... For the first few turns of this fight, at least, it's not going to be too bad. Hi, Queenie. Love you.
여러분들 기분이 좋아 보이시네요.
Always gotta greet her. She deserves it. Honestly, the longer you can go without staggering the Knight of Despair, the better you'll perform in this fight, because that means you have more skill slots. By the time she actually summons her swords, and the hardest part about this fight is actually, it's definitely being able to deal with the swords while also clashing against the knight herself. Because you don't want to do it too much. If you clash against her too much, then... Hold on, what do I want to do here? Does this get bonuses when it wins a clash? I don't think it does. Also, this is the wrong skill anyways. I need to be looking at this one. No, there's no clash win conditional there, so you do want to start with the skill 2 because that gets an extra tremor count if he wins a clash with that. And then you can use his enhanced skill 3. Technically speaking, there is a reason to also use his enhanced skill 3 first, because it does activate Tremor Scorch, but at the same time, it's like we would be missing out on that single tremor count, which would have made the tremor stack even more likely to just instantly die, basically. I think we can do another enhanced skill 3 here. Can we? No, because he only inflicts... He inflicts 1 by just attacking, and then 2 instead if he wins a clash. So we have to do 2 skills in order to actually activate it. But we can activate it, it's just that it won't be terribly efficient. But yeah, this right here is why it's better to stall the first few turns of the Knight of Despair, because if we didn't do that, we wouldn't have been able to use the enhanced skill 3 there, just because we would be down a skill. Not that it actually matters, considering that the knight literally tanked the entire attack with the amount of shield that she has. But it was fun, and that's all that really matters. No point in using another skill 3 here because, yeah, it's impossible for us to get the max 5 stack to activate the enhanced skill 3. One thing I will say, though, is that Heathcliff's maturing textbook status effect, every time I see it, it looks like it's Gregor instead of Heathcliff himself, because, you know, the little ponytail that sticks out from the status effect, it just looks like Gregor's roach arm. And if you're just glancing at it and don't look at it too closely, it looks 100 times more similar to Gregor than Heathcliff himself, which is very interesting to say the least. But yeah, might have been intentional. Who knows? Probably not, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks like Gregor. The rest of this fight's not that difficult. As soon as you start destroying a couple of swords, the knight really doesn't put up much of a fight. It really is, this fight, it really is just, Also, I did forget that Heathcliff's enhanced skill 3 does actually get attack rate. It's dependent on how much of his maturing textbook status effect that he has, but it can gain attack weight. It's not the most consistent thing in the world, because especially in boss fights where they don't have minions, he can only actually gain that status effect by using his enhanced skill 3. So it usually takes him, he needs a minimum of 2 of it in order to do that. So if he's not actually killing any enemies, then it takes him a minimum of 6 turns. No, actually, it's 9 turns in order to be able to actually get even a single point of extra attack weight, because he needs 2 turns to inflict the dual escalates on the enemy. He needs 2 turns to inflict the dual escalates on the enemy. Then he needs 1 turn to use his enhanced skill 3. And then he needs to do that 2 more times. Once. Yeah, he just needs to do it 3 times to build it up. It takes forever to get the attack weight, and so it's very easy to forget about that he even has attack weight to begin with. All that to say is, I probably would have used a different skill. I probably wouldn't have attacked the sword on that 1 turn that I did if I remembered that he had attack weight. Oh no. Oops. Well, I guess I'll see you guys when I get back there. To the next floor. Alright, and we're back with the 4th floor against Nelly. This run, we got a few different diffs. Most notably, we actually got the Knight's Blessing this time. Sundered Memory, Broken Greatsword, Imposed Weight. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. So, something I did find out while running it back is that what I said before about the actual, like, time it takes Heathcliff to actually gain attack weight, it's actually substantially lower than what I said it was. And that is because something I didn't realize is that his enhanced skill 3 also still inflicts dual escalates status effect.
당신과 한없이 닮은 각도.
It does this because the only way he actually inflicts it is when the skill is finished, and because it consumes it before the skill is used, he can still end up actually inflicting it when he does use his enhanced skill 3.
나만 믿고 다들 집중해줘. 도움이 될 수 있을 거야.
You'll likely be able to see it here when we use it. Right now, Nelly will have 1 dual escalates
시험 해체 끝.
after he uses it, which, yes, she in fact does. So, if he does end up winning a clash with that skill,
징계팀 직원이라면 당연한 판단이긴 해. 잘했다.
then you can shave down like an extra 2 turns off of the total amount required to actually for him to actually gain attack weight.
이 궤적을 보고
So it goes from 9 turns down to 7.
그간의 전투 경험이 쓸모가 없.
And it becomes even more consistent with his actual like infliction of it, because since Rhodia allows him to use a skill 1 every time she attacks, that means that he can very consistently inflict upwards of 3 of the dual escalates every single turn, which is the max. So
지금처럼 조용.
it's very easy for him to have good skill cycling, basically. And Ardent Flower, very nice. That's a good one. We get Nelly's book and I guess Barbed Lasso for the extra dust to dust. Nice. Final floor. What do we want to take here? Line 5? Sure, line 5. Failure.
따라주지 않네요.
Rest in peace, Honglu. You will not be missed.
명령하신 대로
And the Shatterbound Cannon. I don't know if I actually want to keep this. Like, it's very strong because it gives you an extra 100% damage at the end of it, but... the delicateness is kind of scary. It's probably fine. Probably. I mean, what's really the scariest part about it, huh? Is this section 2? I think this is section 2, which isn't that bad, honestly. Yes, it is section 2.
개체가 조금 유리한 환경에 놓이게 된 것 같아. 하지만
It's not that bad because they're all basically fatal to blunt damage. And Heathcliff's Bind's ego is in fact blunt damage, so very cool. They're likely
이 궤적을 보고
all going to get staggered to this, especially if we get lucky and crit.
나는 이 왕좌에 묶여 홀로 통치하는 자일지니.
이거 봐. 환상체를
Well, they don't
제압하는 건
all get staggered, but
충분하잖아.
especially not Ishmael, who does it. It's a lot of damage, but then again, we do have the
적들이 조금 기세등등해진 것
exactly
같은데.
the
이럴 때는
mana shaped music
같이
box,
노려봐야 해.
and Scarlet Moths
당당하게.
instantly kills one of them, so that's cool. And also, good thing about these types of fights with binds is you can very easily work around the -20 bind that it gives you by just clashing against the enemies that outroll you.
이 궤적을 보고 떡을
And then the pseudo attack weight that binds gives you
역할대로
hopefully staggers the other enemies that are
시원하게 처리하니
clashing against us, so yeah,
맛이 나는군.
not that bad.
처리는 빠르게 하는 편이 덜 답답한 법이지.
방금 멋졌어. 너희들의 사랑이
Ishmael survives, but she's not actually doing anything that threatening.
악한 아르카나들을 뒤흔들었어.
Dora Calgia, on the other hand,
승리도 시간 문제.
also not threatening. We very easily beat it. Can't quite beat it with a skill 1 though, so.
이 궤적을 보고 떠올리시게.
Unfortunate.
제연할 뿐. 대체 끝. 이제 제연.
Section 2 is definitely simultaneously the easiest and hardest section of them all.
수월해진 것 같아요.
Now here, what do? Focus Strike and Cleave we let through because they are the least threatening of them all. Should probably clash against that with the skill 3 because it's so much more powerful, but
이 궤적을
yep.
보고
We also got lucky here with the Kurokuma clan because if they get I think it's 4 less resonance, then they get unbreakable coins and cannot be staggered.
당신과 한없이 닮은 각도가
Which, considering the fact that we are lacking our first stagger threshold now, I don't think it's that big of a deal, even if they did get that.
셔터레.
아까의 공격으로 인해서 대상이
But,
많은
yes, this is very easy.
나약해졌다는 거지.
Now what do we do?
그래도 될것 같아.
이 궤적
Unfortunately, the one downside about all of this is that
당신과
it's almost impossible for us to actually use our enhanced skill 3 here because they just don't have enough health to be able to actually
예사롭지
survive long enough for us to inflict the 5 dual escalates required.
역할대로
대성공이야. 가령 신나.
당신과 한없이
At least it's very easy for us to max out our maturing textbook status effects, so silver lining, I guess.
한 접시 근사하게 먹여줄까?
이 궤적을 보고 떠올리시게. 당신과 한없이 닮은 각도가 당신과 한없이 닮은 각도가 역할대로
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나갔어. 괴로워하는 게 느껴지지 않아? 이 기세로 계속 나아가 보자.
If only Sinclair here was actually buffed by the
역할대로
rest of the Dawn office that are going to be coming out real soon. He might actually be able to put up a bit of a fight in that case. Considering all of the buffs that he gets from them.
제연할 뿐
It's crazy. It's crazy how strong he gets from just using them. But we'll talk about that when they actually release, I guess.
이 궤적을 보고 제연할 뿐 제연할 뿐 제연할 뿐
저 개체에게 큰 피해를 준 것 같아.
제연할 뿐
기우팀의 직원다운 완벽한 공격이었어. 아까 했던 공격 덕에 한 대
I'm just gonna win right at this point.
좋네요.
당신과 한없이 닮은 각도가
I wish you could win right on the last turn, but like... The targeting when everything is staggered is just so abysmally awful that it will take like 20 times longer if you do actually end up win rating on that previous turn. But when there's only one enemy, then it doesn't really matter.
셔터레 당신과 한없이 닮은 각도가 당신과 한없이 닮은 각도가
방금 공격은 별로 효과적이지 못했던 것 같아.
이 궤적을 보고
버틀러들은 언제나 상대를 주의 깊게 관찰해야 한다고. 내가 누누이 말했잖아.
셔터레 팔레르모 해체 검식 세치오나트라 디체르버 시연 완료
덕탄 의원이 스그루타 시키데스.
역할대로 재현할 뿐
승객이 딱콩 한 방 먹였어.
있는 힘껏 찔러놓고 으깨놨지만 저것들은 언젠가 다시 재생하겠지.
이게 사람이 할 행동이었나? 아마 아니겠지. 키워준 은혜도 모르고 등 뒤를 찌른 놈이 어떻게 사람이겠어. 그래도 절 원망하진 않으시겠죠. 당신은 죽어 마땅한 사람이었으니까.
Spoilers for Heathcliff's Uptie story aside in his victory line. Yeah, that's how I beat Mirror Dungeon 7 hard using only the thumb apprentice Heathcliff. He's decent. Nowhere near as strong as Rhodia, obviously, but, well, as he said himself, he did kill her, so who's really the stronger one? In any case, that's it for me. Like and subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.